Hi, I'm Chris, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL and welcome back to me as well because I've just returned from Italy. I went to Esxence in Milan where I did receive a few free PR bottles. So in this video, I want to show you what they are. First off, before we get started, I just want to be transparent and let you know how this works just in case you're not quite sure. I did not pay for any of the bottles featured in this video. They were all PR gifts from brands. Brands attend Esxence and they'll have a certain amount of stock written off that they're ready to give away as gifts, as PR, and often they don't want to leave Esxence with the bottles. Some brands have traveled from quite a long way and they don't want to go back on the planes carrying all the stock, so they want to get rid of it, so they're happy to give away these bottles. None of the brands that gave me any of these bottles asked for anything in return. They did not ask for any content. I am choosing to make this content for my channel and no money has changed hands. No brands have paid me to feature any of these bottles in this video. I do not go to Esxence to get free bottles. I go there to discover new fragrances, discover new brands, to meet up with friends. There are friends here in the UK that I only ever see in Italy, and also people from across the world that I would never get to see if I didn't go to Esxence. I do accept a few free bottles, but only under certain circumstances, and I was offered more free bottles than I wanted to take. I don't really want to bring back that many. Couple of reasons: there's not that much room in the suitcase to bring stuff back, and also there's not that much room here in this room to bring stuff back. So rather than me going to Esxence on the hunt for free bottles to try and get as many as I could, it's actually the opposite. Brands were wanting to give me more than I wanted to take. And the way that things work for me is that I will visit booths. I will visit booths of brands that I know, booths of brands that I don't know, and I'll smell the fragrances. Generally, I will give them my feedback and I will let them know which is my favorite of the line. Sometimes the brand will then package me up a free bottle of what has been my favorite, and sometimes they won't. Not all brands will offer free PR bottles, and there are brands that I'll go and smell their fragrances and they'll offer me a bottle, but if I feel none of the fragrances have really resonated, if they're not really up my street, then it's not really a bottle that I necessarily want to have in my collection, then I will politely decline. So the fragrances I'm featuring in this video have all come from interactions with the brands. I've smelled their whole line that they had available to smell at Esxence, and I've chosen ones that I really love. But anyway, just wanted to get that all up front and out of the way before we talk about the fragrances. All in all, I've got 5 fragrances to mention in this video. The first one is from a brand I didn't know existed, but now, thanks to Esxence, I do. It's called Art Meets Art. And the only reason I sat down and chatted with this brand was I walked into the exhibition one day and Tony from FRAG-MENTAL was already sat down chatting, so I thought I'd sit down and join him and learn about a brand that I didn't know anything about. The concept behind this brand is kind of cool because they take very popular, iconic songs and create fragrances that represent the feelings and the moods of those songs in an olfactory sense. They had some really nice fragrances. The one that stood out to me will be no surprise when I tell you what the notes are. It's called Sexual Healing. This is, of course, based on the Marvin Gaye song Sexual Healing. The notes are honey, ginger, tobacco, absolute, vanilla, and amber. So after hearing those notes, it will come as no surprise that I enjoy this fragrance, because if you watch this channel, you know that I love tobacco, and this is a really lovely rendition of a honey tobacco, one that's a little bit different to others that I've smelled before. They say that Christophe Renaud, the perfumer, accepted the challenge of translating into perfume the warm and sensual voice of Marvin Gaye singing Sexual Healing. This fragrance is indeed pretty sexual. Very, very cool brand, beautiful fragrance. Love these bottles, quite simplistic but very classy at the same time, very modern and contemporary look to them. Art Meets Art, now firmly on my radar. Another brand that I discovered, I think they're a pretty new brand, is Bouchaud Fragrances, and the fragrance that I've picked up from them is Oud Guimauve. The thing I like about this fragrance is it's got a really lovely woody depth from the oud. It's not an animalic oud, combined with a lovely fluffy sweet marshmallow. Guimauve means marshmallow, so you can see where they got the name from with this fragrance. And I love the contrast between the intense woodiness of the oud and the sweet fluffy nature of the marshmallow. It really stood out to me in their line of fragrances because it's a smell that really resonates with me. I find it really enjoyable and I don't have anything else like it. There's also another fragrance called Amour Citron, which is by the perfumer of AVENTUS, Jean-Christophe Hérault, and it has his fingerprints all over it. It's a very citrusy, juicy type of fresh scent, but it's got some strength. Christina was explaining that they really worked hard to create a long-lasting fresh fragrance. So those two were the standouts for me from the line. Great presentation, great fragrances. I think we're going to be hearing quite a lot more about this brand. The next one was a complete surprise PR gift. Wasn't expecting it. If you can see the top of the little cap here, you might have a little sneak preview there of the brand Purple Accento from Xerjoff. This is a pretty fruity fragrance. There's mandarin, pineapple, berries, also orris, sandalwood, vanilla, and oud. I don't know if it's the whole purple thing, the purple bottle, the purple in the name, but this fragrance makes me think of blueberries. I just can't get away from a gorgeous, sweet, juicy blue. You know, sometimes with blueberries, you'll get a little tub of them, and some of them are a little bit sour and bitter, and they don't quite hit the spot, but then there'll be in the corner there a nice big fat juicy one, and you pop it in your mouth and it just gives you that perfect blueberry sweetness. Well, that is what I get from this fragrance. I actually got this in a party bag at the end of the Xerjoff party. Everyone who was invited got a little goodie bag to pick up at the end. I did not expect there to be a full bottle in this bag, but there was, so woohoo. Before we picked up our party bags, they were passing strips around at the event to smell some of the new fragrances, and off the strip, I will say that I thought this smelled a little fruity feminine to me, just leaned a little towards the feminine. That's only my personal opinion, that fruity fragrances to me smell a little more feminine, but when I've worn this on skin, I actually really started to enjoy the blueberry fruitiness of it. To be honest, if I'd have gone into a store and smelled this, I wouldn't have spent the money on it, A, because it's pretty expensive, but also because this fruity scent profile isn't the type of scent that I think suits me. It's not the type of smell that I would usually go for. But if you like fruity fragrances, if you like that berry fruitiness, that juicy, sweet blueberry type of smell in fragrance, then Purple Accento you'll probably really enjoy. Thank you, Xerjoff, for this lovely gift, and thank you for a pretty amazing party. I mean, Duran were there. They've got 2 new fragrances with Xerjoff, and we didn't smell them, but they created cocktails based on these new fragrances. And let me tell you, if the fragrance called Black Moonlight smells as good as that cocktail tasted, we're in for a treat. If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store, luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands, plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description. On to the last 2 bottles now. These are both from the same brand. The brand is Parfumeur. I gotta say, I was super impressed with this X-Straight line that they had on display. The first one I'm gonna mention that they gifted to me is called Myrrh Shadow. This is the latest creation from perfumer Quentin Bisch. The notes are bitter orange, grapefruit, cinnamon, myrrh, vanilla, oud, and benzoin. I've worn this now a few times since coming back from Milan, and it is a super addictive fragrance. It's got this sweet, fluffy nature, almost a little bit chocolatey, but it's very easygoing at the same time. It's quite a powdery fragrance. It's got lots of depth because there's some myrrh, there's some oud in it. It seems to project well. It lasted a long time for me. It is a very easy fragrance to wear and a very addictive scent. You've got this gorgeous, warm, spicy, sweet, addictive scent bubble around you when you're wearing this. So Quentin Bisch has definitely worked some of his magic with Myrrh Shadow. The other one that I picked up was probably my favorite of all of them that they had, and it's called Marbre Rouge. There's pink pepper, cardamom, pimento, tolu balsam, patchouli, ylang ylang, benzoin, vetiver, and musk. So I described Myrrh Shadow as a very addictive, sensual, but quite well-behaved fragrance. And not that Marbre Rouge isn't well-behaved, but this is a bit more of an assertive, louder, spicier smell. It's almost like fiery spiciness with the pimento, with the pink pepper. It really seemed to jump off my skin. But there's also some softer, sweeter, quite addictive notes in the base as well. So it's got this great balance. It is a show-stopping scent, but it's got this cozy, comforting aspect to it as well. It just really vibed with me, made my eyes open a little bit wider when I smelled this, which is why I think the owner of the brand decided to give me a bottle. So very thankful to Parfumeur to gift me these 2 bottles. Again, they didn't ask for any content. Obviously it works for them if they get a little bit of content out of it, a little bit of exposure for a couple of fragrances, but it was never asked for. I'm simply talking about fragrances that on the day I enjoyed, and really glad and very grateful to have received these PR gifts. So that's it. Not a huge fragrance haul, but the fragrances of the booths that I visited, I really enjoyed the scents. So I wanted to mention them to you. I wanted to give you a bit of an idea of how it works for me over there in terms of PR gifting. Maybe you learned about some fragrances you didn't know about, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.